feel like hardly do I ever review a Netflix series, but today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new Netflix series known as Dahmer Monster: The Jeffrey Dahmer Story. Now, the story is about Jeffrey Dahmer, how he became the infamous serial killer that he eventually became. I believe he killed approximately 33 people. I don't remember the exact number, but everyone knows him as the of course, this is based on a true story. The serial killer who he would target a lot of men, homosexual men, and he would do like weird experiments. He was a cannibalist. He would do things to their bodies. At one point, even drilling a 14-year-old boy's head, like in the back. He did a lot of things, and I think it's safe to say he has a safe place in hell, along with John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, and all those. It's safe to say that this guy is a psychopath, and the show is called Monster. Now, I'm going to be reviewing it, and of course, this is an unbiased take. This is not me, because I already see controversy going around about this show saying, oh, it's making the victims look bad, oh, it's bringing back trauma, and all that. I'm not going to get into that. All I have to say about that is I feel like some stories need to be told, because if we don't learn from our past, then we're not going to improve. It's why in history classes you learn about World War II, why you learn about the American Revolution or whatever kind of wars that happened, so that we can learn from the mistakes and hope to improve. And I feel like when it comes to serial killers, we do have to hear these stories out in order to learn, to know that humans are this bad, that there are people like this out there who have not been caught, and we need to be aware of that. So I'll just say that real quick. Now let's get into the review. I guess there will be no spoilers, but then again, I don't know what I'm spoiling. I feel like everyone already knows the Jeffrey Dahmer story, but no spoilers. So this is a 10 episode series. The episodes are around 50 to 40 minutes long. I originally thought this was a movie. By the way, Netflix does horrible jobs at promoting their own stuff, because literally just a couple days before I had seen the trailer for the first time, I did not know they were making this. And Netflix wasn't even putting trailers out or nothing. The only reason I knew is because I had a friend of mine say, hey, there's a Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix. Or we didn't say series, but my assumption was it was a movie. I click on it, it says episode 1, and I'm like, what? But that's kind of why this review is taking a while. But again, no spoilers. Let's continue with the review. First of all, let me just get all the performances out there. Nicey Nash as Glenda Cleveland, I believe that's her name. She was great in it. She was fantastic. Now, the way the trailers marketed is that it's her story, and it's her perspective of the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. And while we do get her perspective, it's not really a show about her. It's more a show about actually, you know, uh, Jeffrey Dahmer. It's more about him. Like, you see his origin and all that. Now, the cool thing about this show is that sounds weird. A cool thing about a serial killer show is that this show really emphasizes everyone's perspective. Because there's some questions you don't ask. Like, what is it like to be the dad of a serial killer? What is it like to have a sibling of yours murdered by a serial killer that you've had to come across before? There's so many questions that get answered here that I really love. And I really love how it shows you that no matter where you were, this was hard on you. Whether you were a person who never came across Jeffrey Dahmer, whether you were a victim, whether you were his father, whatever, you just feel the pain in each one of the suffering that Dahmer left on all these people. And I just love that. And Niecy Nash, tremendously great actress. But, of course, the standout has to be Evan Peters. First of all, everyone here was great. Richard Jenkins, who played the dad of Jeffrey Dahmer, he got a lot of screen time, and every time he's on, phenomenal acting. But Evan Peters specifically, first of all, somebody's got to book him a therapist, because this clearly looked like it was taking a mental toll on him. He put his 100%. You could tell he put a lot of effort in the chilling, the thing that people are forgetting, because I already see people saying, oh, this show's making you sympathize with a monster. No, it's not. This show, well, yes, it shows you, you feel bad for him, you feel bad for his origins, you feel bad for what he went through. The show never makes you forget that what he's doing is horrible, because there are moments There's even a little subtle moment at the beginning where he's opening a fridge, and it looks like this normal scene of just a regular guy getting a beer or whatever, but you see a decapitated head, and you see a drill, you see a lot of things in there, and the show constantly keeps showing you that no, this guy's a monster. They show you that, well, yes, he doesn't want to feel this way. He feels that way. And the show constantly keeps putting you on ease. It reminds you of the Joker movie. The Joker movie, while you sympathized with Joker and while you felt bad for Joker, you still saw what he did as, holy crap, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something evil. You're doing something monstrous. And that's the thing that the Dahmer show does perfectly. And without Evan Peters, the show would have fallen flat. I think Evan Peters was phenomenal. I'm not going to say this show as a whole is an Emmy winner, but I'll definitely say Evan Peters should at least be nominated for Best Actor in the next Emmys because he puts his all and he's great from beginning to end. The way they show you the story, they make you feel bad for Dahmer, but then they really go into like the thing that I think that this show is chilling and scary. Not because they show you what Dahmer does, but because you hear what Dahmer does. There's very few scenes where you see Dahmer decapitating heads, or well, he's not actually doing any of that. You just either hear it or it's told to you. And I think that makes it even scarier because a lot of gory movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, whatever, they'll show you the gore and you think, oh, that's the thing that scares me. But no, just hearing it and you knowing already what's happening makes it 10 times scarier. And I actually think that's a better way of honoring the victims instead of showing you, especially I do feel bad for the victims because, if they see this show, if they see the trailer, they're reminded of a lost loved one because I know definitely I wouldn't be able to handle that. So I can't blame the victims for feeling this way, for feeling like they're just rehearsing a traumatic experience. I cannot blame them for feeling that way. But I still think a show like this needs to be made because I think people need to be aware of how horrible people can be. I think movies and shows can bring awareness to certain things. For example, Infinity War brought awareness to scary, bald, purple people. I'm just kidding. But no, I think it brings more awareness whenever you get to see the story of how a madman became a madman. I think it's good. Um, Overall, the show was great. I I think the scores and everything was great. I like how each episode has almost a different perspective. Like I think episode 6, it shows you the perspective of one of Dahmer's victims, like what it's like what he lived and all that. And then eventually, when he meets Dahmer, it's almost like you have this chilling moment of, oh crap, I know what's gonna happen. Won't get into details on that, but this show takes a span of Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood to him doing all the murders, then him getting caught, and then him being in prison, then dying. That's not a spoiler because I think everyone's aware that Dahmer died. But I think the best thing this show does is that it provides you how badly the police messed up on this case. Because the police really messed up. I like there were so many times where Jeffrey Dahmer could have been caught, lives could have been saved if the police had acted better. Of course, everyone knows the story about the 14-year-old boy with the drill in his head, and the police kind of just took him back to Dahmer's apartment without questioning him or anything like that. And even when he got caught, the only reason he got caught was because one of his victims escaped with his handcuffs, and they just needed the key to unlock the handcuff. But Dahmer stupidly let them in his apartment. And then they saw the pictures and all that. They smelled the horrible smell and all that. And then he got caught. He didn't get caught because there was an investigation. He didn't get caught because of suspicion. No. And again, the show keeps showing you that this guy is not right. This guy is doing evil stuff. And I like that. I think it's perfect. I think with a story like this, you do have to humanize a guy so that in order that when they do the bad things, you feel more impact because you're like, holy crap, anyone in your life could do this. For all you know, your neighbor's probably cooking up people right now and you don't know it. And I think that's a good message to put out. Be aware of these people. Doesn't matter how attractive they are. It doesn't matter if they look normal. You should always be cautious. But I do think the show perfectly portrays how the police badly messed up. There's a lot of racial tensions. Of course, Dahmer, the main reason why he was able to get away with it is because most of his victims were people of color, specifically black men. And because his victims were black men, the police didn't take the thing seriously. The police never sided with the black people actually, trying to get Dahmer or finding something suspicious about Dahmer. None of that. And of course, Dahmer was in a much lower, much more poor area of Milwaukee, so he was able to get away with it a lot more easier. In fact, there was no investigation. He was able to murder 33 people, and probably more, without being investigated until after the fact. And I think this show really shows you that, again, there could be serial killers anywhere. The next Zodiac killer could be literally your wife or your husband, and you just don't know it. And I think this show really does that completely phenomenally well, and I gotta give them credits. Again, Evan Peters was great in this, but besides that, the best thing is you do see the perspectives of different. I think specifically seeing Lionel Dahmer, played by Richard Jenkins, he was phenomenal. I think he could be supporting role. I think he could win or be nominated at least. He was definitely fantastic in it. I do like also the difference between, the people around him before they knew about his killings and after. Because when beforehand, nobody's asking him questions. Nobody's concerned. Nobody's feeling anything. They just think Dahmer's a stupid, weird guy. But then after, everyone's like, why didn't we see the signs? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? But there were signs from the beginning. From the beginning, he loved dissecting frogs. He loved being a class clown. He was drinking before when he was like 18, 16, around that age. Of course, the police interactions he had, the way that they just kind of let him go, no warning, no nothing. I mean, he molested a 14-year-old and only got 1 year. And yet, no other investigation. It was just, all right, go ahead, whatever. But the show's surprisingly very accurate on a lot of things. A lot of times you'll see differences and changes, but I do like how accurate they go. Overall, it's a phenomenal show. It's a fantastic show. The only criticism I can give it is that the last 2 episodes are a little slower. Like, you're not seeing the chilling, scary, tensifying moments anymore, and you're more seeing just Dahmer arrested and the people around him trying to go through life after all of the events that happened. That's the only criticism I have, but that's the only one. Overall, the show's phenomenal. And again, I wasn't even planning on watching the show regardless, but it was phenomenal. It was great. And again, Evan Peters, chef's kiss. This is like I was given a 5-star meal at my home. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching this review. If you like this review, let us know in the comments. What do you think about it? Subscribe, smash the like button, do whatever you gotta do. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.